in this episode.
And the gunshots went off 6 or 7 times. And I said, did you get shot? And she said yes.
A woman is shot in the face and killed in broad daylight. And an off-duty officer is killed in a hit and run. Plus, chaos erupts in New Jersey over Labor Day weekend. Right now, Fox 5's Crime in the City. For our first story this week, we begin in East Harlem. That's where a 69-year-old woman was shot in the face and killed in broad daylight. A man has since been charged in this case.
Police say that she was using a walker when the stray bullet hit her. Fox 5's Lisa Evers is on the scene of this senseless crime, and Lisa, we imagine the community is outraged.
The community is totally outraged and they're angry. Antoine and Natasha, this all happened on East 110th Street, which is where we're at right now in East Harlem, starting at Park Avenue, where my police sources tell me that there was a running gun battle. More than a dozen shots were fired, possibly from at least 2 separate weapons. One of those bullets hitting this beloved grandmother walking with her friend in the walker right over here on the corner of 110th Street and Madison Avenue. And that was almost a block away. It's a sprawling crime scene. They're kind of wrapping it up right here. But the NYPD tells us a 69-year-old woman was out for a lunchtime visit with her friend on East 110th Street here when the gunfire started popping off around 12:30. The victim's friend tells us they heard the gunshots and were moving away when the victim realized she'd been hit. Her walker, a sad reminder of what happened. She was rushed to Mount Sinai Morningside Hospital, where she was pronounced dead. Now here's what the friend who was with her and one of the residents told us. Take a listen.
Saw the guys running from this direction towards Park Avenue. I said they got guns, and I was right. I didn't see the gun, but I had an eye there, and the gunshots went off 6 or 7 times. And the next thing, I turned around, and my friend was on the ground. I asked her, "Are you all right?" And I said, "Did you get shot?" And she said yes.
Mayor Adams, you told us that you would keep us protected in this community, okay? You are focusing on some of the wrong things. You're focusing on what parents are doing. You're focusing on some of the wrong things. We need protection. There should be police on every corner in this community to make sure that we stay safe. An elderly woman died. This is our 3rd elderly woman in Harlem. This is our 3rd, and for the summer.
Now, of course, this is a terrible tragedy for what happened, but it's not just a loss of life. This is a loss of a beloved community member, because many of the residents, like this victim, have lived in this community for many, many years. The police investigation is still in the very early stages, but we're keeping tabs on it. We'll bring you the latest as soon as we get more information.
We now head to the Williamsbridge section of the Bronx, where a group of gunmen drove up to a deli and opened fire, killing 1 man and wounding 4 others.
Briella Tomasetti is in the Morris Park section of the Bronx this morning at the hospital where some of those victims are recovering this morning. What's going on?
Yeah, Rosanna, good morning. And we do have an update for you that a 24-year-old victim has been identified by police as Jamari Henry. He was from the Wakefield section of the Bronx. The 4 other gunshot victims are recovering, as you mentioned, here at Jacoby Hospital after shots were fired from a car that pulled up to a Bronx deli last night. Police investigators, rather, are looking into whether it may have been gang-related, but so far they have not been able to confirm that with us. What we know right now is that this unfolded shortly after 7:30 yesterday evening on Allerton Avenue near White Plains Road in Williamsbridge. Multiple shots were fired from the vehicle, striking 5 men in total. All of them were taken to Jacoby Hospital to be treated for their injuries. One 27-year-old man was shot in the left foot. Another was grazed in the leg. A 25-year-old man was shot in the arm, and a 21-year-old man was also shot in the arm. All 4 of those men are currently in stable condition. Henry, who was shot multiple times throughout the body, was pronounced dead at the hospital. Members of the NYPD's crime scene unit could be seen searching the area with flashlights and placing evidence markers on the ground. Shortly after that shooting, investigators say the suspects crashed their car near Arno and Hone Avenues. 3 guns were recovered from the vehicle. It's unclear at the moment how many suspects in total were in the getaway car, but police say multiple people were taken into custody. One of them, a 24-year-old man, was injured in the collision. He was transported to Jacoby Hospital, where he remains in critical condition. And according to the latest NYPD crime statistics, shooting incidents are down in the 49th precinct year to date by about 58%. Shooting victims have decreased from 13 to 6, not, of course, including this incident.
Down on the Brooklyn-Queens Expressway, an off-duty NYPD officer riding a motorcycle was killed in a hit-and-run crash.
But first, breaking news, police searching for the driver accused of crashing into an off-duty police officer on the BQE and leaving him for dead. The NYPD officer killed while riding his motorcycle to work. Welcome back to the 5 o'clock news. I'm Natasha Verma.
Antoine Lewis in for Steve Lacey. Investigators say that he was hit by a box truck.
Fox 8's Linda Schmidt is live in Cobble Hill with more on this breaking story. Linda?
And this is absolutely awful here. This poor officer was just on his way to work about 8:30 this morning when he was hit. Now, he works at the 84th Precinct in downtown Brooklyn, and the fatal accident happening just below where we are right now. This is along the BQE near Atlantic Avenue. And the box truck that hit him just kept right on going. It did not stop. But I have to warn you here in advance, the video you are about to see, it is disturbing. Now, the officer was 30 years old, and he was on his Yamaha motorcycle when the box truck hit him about 8:30 this morning, causing the motorcycle to burst into flames. I am told the box truck did not have any logos or identifiable markings on it. Investigators are checking surveillance and traffic cameras to try and track down the truck by its license plate. Once again, the officer was off duty and on his way to work at the 84 Precinct in downtown Brooklyn. You can come back to me live now on camera. I am also told that Mayor Adams met with the family earlier today at the hospital. That's where this poor officer, sadly, was pronounced dead.
Over in Crown Heights, several people were shot and one person slashed in separate incidents following the West Indian Day Parade.
First breaking news, a magical day of culture marred by violence, with shots ringing out just as the West Indian Day Parade wraps up celebrations. Welcome to the 10 o'clock news. I'm Natasha Verma. Steve has the night off. Police are investigating 4 incidents of violence along or near Eastern Parkway. 7 people are injured, 1 critically. Fox 8's Kendall Green is live in Crown Heights with what we know tonight. Kendall?
Hey, good evening, Natasha. The NYPD deployed 2,500 officers here at the West Indian Day Parade in order to prevent the violence. Yet, 3 separate shootings are under investigation as we speak, and here's what we know so far. 6 people so far, according to those connected to those shootings, have been injured. Police are investigating after 2 people were shot near 1098 Eastern Parkway around 5:35. One of the victims, a man in his 20s with a gunshot wound to the leg. Now, the second victim in that shooting, a woman in her 40s, grazed by a bullet, left with a wound to her backside. Both victims at last check were taken to Kings County Hospital in stable condition. Then, just after 6:45, near Classen Avenue and Eastern Parkway, a man was shot in the shoulder before he was taken to Kings County Hospital. A second man also hit in the shoulder, transported to the same hospital in a personal vehicle. Both victims in that shooting have been reported in stable condition. And less than 10 minutes later, near the intersection of North Strand and Sterling Avenue, 2 more victims were shot. A person of interest has been taken into custody after that shooting around 6:55. And the victims there include a 53-year-old man who was shot in the neck and leg, transported to the Kings County Hospital in critical condition. And a woman in her 40s was shot in the left ankle, last reported in stable condition. In that same location on Northston, a man was reportedly slashed in that area. So far, anyone with any information has asked to call police. We don't have a status on that victim, but definitely to sum things up, definitely the violence that the NYPD was trying to prevent certainly didn't happen here tonight.
Back in the Bronx, we head to the Fordham section, where 3 people, 2 teenagers and 1 adult, were injured in a shooting near the intersection of Marion Avenue and East Fordham Road.
We begin with breaking news, another round of gun violence in the Bronx. Police say 3 people were shot last night in the Fordham section just before 9. According to authorities, the victims range from late teens to late 20s, and all are expected to survive. Police are looking for 2 men who fled the scene on a moped. This latest shooting comes a day after Mayor Adams said he's deploying an additional 1,000 police officers to the Bronx following a recent wave of gun violence. Meanwhile, fed-up residents in East Harlem say it's time to end the violence. They gathered during an emergency community meeting last night. It comes after a horrific shooting earlier in the week that claimed the life of a grandmother. Police believe she was caught in the crossfire. East Harlem residents say they want more lighting on sidewalks, extra police patrols, and around-the-clock surveillance on certain neighborhoods.
It's never like this before. Innocent people getting shot down like that. Yeah. Especially grandmothers, that's sad.
Despite the recent violence, NYPD stats from a few weeks ago indicate crime is down in the city and murders are down nearly 50%.
And finally, we leave the city for Secaucus, New Jersey, where chaos erupted on the streets over Labor Day weekend. A large group of vehicles and people descended on an intersection. Police say the vehicles were driving recklessly as people set off fireworks.
Well, some developing news out of Secaucus, New Jersey. A wild scene unfolding as bystanders recorded over 100 vehicles taking over the intersection of Secaucus Road and County Avenue early Sunday morning. People jumped on top of responding officers' cars, set off fireworks in the direction of the police cars. Law enforcement from neighboring towns responded to help disperse that crowd. No officers were injured, but investigators are asking for the public's help identifying anyone in this crowd. If you have any information, please call the Secaucus Police.
That's this week's Crime in the City. Subscribe for more at youtube.com/Fox5NY.